Hey everybody, and welcome to The Void, a show dedicated to helping you make the transition from employee to self-employed. I'm your host, Mitch Smedley, and with me as always is David Hilton.
Oh, awesome. No long rambling intro today.
You
caught me off guard.
Yeah.
I was like, what am I going to say today?
Yeah.
Nope, just fucking, there you go, right there. Boom, we're ready.
I'm going to catch you.
I was thinking the whole time, I wonder how my hair looks today.
You know,
I mean, not
usually,
really. I really don't give a
usually
shit.
you ramble on about how long it takes me to get through the whole monologue, and so I figured
Yeah.
I'd flip the
Got me
script on
today.
you and go the other way.
Got me.
Yep.
Got your ass.
So,
What are
with
we
me
doing
as always,
today?
David Hilton.
I'm okay. Thanks for asking.
You're good? All right. Marcus, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Marcus behind the cameras.
It's summertime. Marcus got the seeds in today.
Yeah.
So last
It's
week,
baseball season.
last Thursday, he had some. I bought some the next day. I was like, oh, shit.
Fuck.
Right.
Yeah, the next day I went and got some. I was like, oh, summertime, man. Windows down. Spit the seeds out.
Yeah.
We're shooting the shit out in my driveway, and Marcus is spitting seeds, and my dog, who's a big giant potato, is literally sitting behind him and picking them up one by one as he spits them out.
So
one by one,
Licking
just
them up
boom,
one
boom,
by
boom.
one.
So I tried to get
Yeah.
creative.
So he
man.
tried to get creative, and he was putting them in his hand, and then he went and threw them in the grass.
That
Dog
will-
found them.
That dog will find that shit. A fat dog will find any food out. He's just like, oh, shit. It's time to eat.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
It's like, these taste good. Pretty funny.
Oh, man.
All right, so today...
What are we talking about, Mitch?
Today we're going to talk about keeping up with the Joneses. We have a couple of different styles of shows on The Void. We've got our core episodes, which if you are new to the show, the core episodes are going to be the first 9 episodes, and that's where we lay out a very clear blueprint for how to start your own business. Literally, in those 9 episodes, you have almost every piece of information you need to start your own business. And if you don't have or you don't find the information in there, you can send us an email to askmitch@mitchsmedley.com, and we will answer whatever question you have about how to start your own service-related business. Outside of those core episode shows, we have just general business shows where we talk about general business topics. We also have guest episodes where we bring on guests who have started their own company, and we talk about their experiences and their struggles and their successes. And then we have a show like what we're doing today. We call it Beyond the Void, where we let the business stuff take a little bit of a back seat, and we talk about more social topics or more less businessy subjects and just general good life stuff.
Stuff that lights a fire under you?
Yeah.
Stuff that excites you or pisses you off to no end?
So today's show is a Beyond the Void show, and we're going to talk about keeping up with the Joneses and why you shouldn't concern yourself with the Joneses at all. So obviously everyone knows what we're talking about when we talk about keeping up with the Joneses, but basically the general premise of what we're talking about is no matter what you make, make 10, spend 20, right? Make 100, spend 130, right? So a lot of American culture has to do with they're kind of in the pattern of being in debt, right? You make 100 and you feel like you have to live a certain way. And so we're going to buy the car that says I make $100,000 a year. We're going to live in the house that says I make $100,000 a year. We're going to finance our lifestyle that we think says I make $100,000 a year. And so this show is kind of to help dispel a lot of those myths. So as we've talked about a ton on the show, when I started our company, I was driving an $800 Ford Ranger. I was a salaried employee before I started our company, and it's not like I sold my nice cars, picked up an $800 Ford Ranger just to start our company so I could say I was driving an $800 Ranger when I started our company. No, like
No one thinks that.
I was driving that Ranger for several years before I started our company, and the purpose was I sold every vehicle I had with a loan on it and paid off those loans, and then we wanted to get debt-free before I started the company. So I was a nice, handsome, salaried employee of other companies, and the guys that I'm managing and the teams that I'm managing, literally I drove the shittiest car on the team. And that's because I am perfectly okay remaining humble and not trying to keep up with the Joneses.
Yeah.
Why do you think people do that anyways?
It's psychology in your brain. is what they say. They want you just have the animal part of your brain wants to be equal or over everyone else. You're trying to impress others with your stature.
Yeah.
It's like
it's like a tribal thing.
Yeah, it's like when, the gorilla comes in and he's banging on his chest. It's the same thing. You're like, look at me. Look, I'm up here with the rest of you.
Right.
And I think a lot of it has to do, especially in American culture, is insecurity. You're insecure with who you are. You're insecure that your house isn't as big as whoever's down here. You're insecure that, so-and-so's wife's down here not having to work. She's a stay-at-home mom. Right. It's just people have all these insecurities, and it just drives people to irrationally overspend to compensate.
Yeah. I think part of our culture drives that too. You see a lot more advertisements on TV and stuff that enable you to get into debt than you do advertisements for programs that help you get out of debt, right?
Yeah.
And I think our government probably facilitates that too. The government, without a doubt, wants you in debt.
6 minutes in, government.
Yep. Very true.
I mean, I think it is too. I was reading, so we always do a little show prep, a website called Psychology Today. They were breaking it down, and it was, the American culture is got it, flaunt it.
Right.
Hey, this is me. The Swiss culture is got it, hide it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The complete opposite.
Right.
I mean, how did we get there?
Right.
The things you just said.
And
that's how we got there.
And the American politician culture is got it and hide it in Switzerland.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Same thing.
You're right.
Same thing.
Right.
They want to know everything you got, but
I mean, all you have to do is take one trip to Facebook Marketplace, and you'll see a guy that's wanting to buy a car with cash, and he flaunts how much cash. Like they're literally a photo of $100 bills laid out.
That's ridiculous.
Like it's not enough to say I've got an $8,000 budget. I'm going to take a photo of $8,000 in cash and put it on there as if that changes things. And it obviously most certainly doesn't.
Or it might get him robbed.
See,
right.
That shit boils down to insecurity, like you're saying.
Yeah. He already feels insecure about it. So I'm going to show. I'm going to show.
Yep.
And where does that come from?
Yep.
I mean, the American culture, like Mitch was saying.
Right.
Yeah.
TV. Is it just, like we talked about, this guy down here got a new Corvette. I got to get something.
Right.
I'm going to go buy a crappy Ford Mustang, and at least I'll look like I've, got a Corvette. I mean, I
tell you what, it's kind of funny you say that. My kids know that my dream car is the new 2020 C8 Corvette, right?
You mean 2022 Stingray Z06?
Well,
that's what you
obviously
mean.
Yeah. Just the C8 body style, right? Like I love that body style. I shit you not. There's 3 dudes on my street with one.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
none of them are
God
Z06.
damn. None of them are
though.
Z06s. But
the fact that you drive past them.
I'm like, I got to drive past 3 of these things to get out of my neighborhood.
Does it make? Let's be honest. Does it make you want one more or less?
So I'm weird. It actually makes me want one less.
Yeah.
Because
unless it was a Z06.
Right.
Which you can't even get.
Right.
Right now.
So I'm actually kind of going a different direction with like, everyone once they start getting into the realm of being semi-successful, they, obviously you've got your plans for how you want to stash or save the money or put it into funds that are going to grow themselves. But then you've also got like a small percentage of the money that you want to spend on toys, right? And I'm like going a whole different direction with how I want to spend the toy money. I'm like I want to buy an airplane. Like I want to go.
We were just talking about this shit.
Yeah,
Because you're a psychopath. But okay.
I want to go 180 miles an hour and not get a ticket for it, right? Like I want to go.
The thing is, I mean, I don't know. The way I always thought of it was the reason to have, when we were young, the reason to have a cool fast car was to get chicks.
Well, yeah, you show off, right?
Yeah.
Literally every moment you're
showing
driving it, you're showing off.
You're trying to get chicks.
Yeah.
That's the whole. First off, when you're 18, 19, 20, 21, until you get married, or say you don't get married at 40, you know why you're driving that Lambo?
You're pulling in tons of trim.
Yeah, that's the only reason to have it.
And again, because I'm a little odd with how I think, like I'm thinking the same. Like a freaking airplane costs the same as a Lambo, right?
I'd rather have a Lambo.
I don't know.
I can go outside and lay down on the Lambo. I can go sit in it and drink bourbon in the Lambo. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't have to drive to the airport to sit in my plane.
But you get in a plane and you're gonna go like, what are you gonna do? Show off to a whole bunch of other rich people at the airport? Like nobody's gonna see you there. And then when you're flying it, nobody can see you in it, right? So it's like the opposite of showing off.
Selfies and flying.
Right.
Right.
It's like the opposite of showing off, and that's kind of how I am though. I'm not too flashy. I'm a little more humble when it comes to that kind of stuff. So,
I'm not gonna say anything.
What?
Nothing.
Oh, he's chomping at the bit of something.
Nothing. Yeah.
Now I used to be.
I'll give a great example of how arrogant Mitch used to be.
Used to be.
Oh, I don't know. Disclaimer. So we used to. So after work on the weekends, we would always go out. Okay. When my car was broke down, which it was for a long time.
Right.
Mitch had a 65 Mustang. Okay. It was green, had white racing stripes. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right. They had pretty much redone all of it. But Mitch just thought he was the coolest shit on the planet.
I was the cat's meow.
Oh man, literally one day, we pull up to the gas station. I've told this story 100 times. We pull up to the gas station. This is a Casey's General Store in Grain Valley. I mean, we're talking podunk, all right?
Right.
He thinks he's so cool driving this car. He gets out, it filled up with gas in the back. I go inside to get, I don't know if I was getting beer.
Or was it
It was unleaded.
It was unleaded.
So I go in there to get beer. I'm paying for the beer. I look out, and this guy's leaned against the car smoking a cigarette at the gas pump. Just thinks he's so cool, man. I look out there. I'm like, is this guy fucking smoking at the fucking gas pump? Just thinks he's so badass. I go out there. I'm like, dude, I'm yelling.
Did he have a leather jacket on or something?
I mean, I'm like screaming at him. He's like, what? I was like, you're smoking.
Yeah.
And he just looks at me with this like look on his face like, oh, fuck.
From like 19.
So he immediately puts it out, but man, I mean, we were so.
From like 19 to 22, I smoked. I smoked for like 2 years.
So in Wild Oats, man.
Yeah.
Thought we were looking cool smoking them cigarettes.
No, honestly, the reason I started smoking, keeping up with the Joneses, right? The reason I started smoking was because Bobby,
I know. That's
the
where I was,
big wig at where we used to work, he smoked, and he got like an extra couple of breaks a day. He would go outside for a smoke break. And so I'm like, well, shit. If you smoke, you get extra breaks from working. I'm going to smoke so I can get extra breaks. So I picked up.
Yeah.
And I remember the first day, I'm like, I'm taking smoke break with you. And he's like, oh, this is going to be good right now out there coughing my ass off.
Watch this kid throw up in the front yard of this house.
Yeah. But, yeah, then I met my wife, and things started getting serious, and Danielle was just like,
you got to quit smoking, dude.
Well, yeah, once she made the flip and like actually fell in love with me, she just gave me the ultimatum. She's like, look, I love you, but I told myself I was never going to marry a smoker. And
doesn't her dad smoke or did smoke?
No, nobody in family smokes. But she's like, I love you, but I told her myself I'm never going to marry a smoker. And well, I got a feeling that's where we're headed. So you got to make a decision. And I'm like, I guess I'm done smoking.
Yeah, I guess I'm done smoking. If I ever want to get laid again, I guess I'm done smoking.
Right.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Man, thought he was so cool out there. Look.
And now we're going on 15 years.
I bring that up because we all do stupid shit. And the whole point of that story is it's stupid shit to go buy. Listen, if you have the money to go buy a $200 pair of Jordans and wear them out, that's fine. I'm not saying you can't do that.
Right.
But don't mess up your priorities like I should be saving for retirement or I should be putting money towards my kids' college.
Right.
When you don't, you can't say I don't have money to do that and then go out and buy $200 Jordans.
Right.
You just can't freak it. It's insanity.
Yeah.
Have your priorities set right.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with having nice things as long as you have your house in order and you have all your bases covered. And there's a lot of people that have all the nice things
and none of their shit's in order.
That
credit card's got 25 G's on it, and they're like, "Oh, where else are we gonna get out of this?" And she's like, "Let's go out to dinner tonight." And everybody just goes.
Right.
Like, what are you doing?
So, I was actually, before we even decided, so on these Beyond the Void shows, we try to do these with as little prep as possible to give you guys like straight off our brains what we're talking about. And so literally Dave and I decided to do a show on Keeping Up with the Joneses.
Yeah, I was
like an hour before the show.
Yeah, I was writing stuff down.
I texted him at
like off my phone.
We meet at 6. on Tuesdays for these Beyond the Void shows, and I texted him at like 5, and I'm like, what do you want the show topic to be tonight?
I had a bunch of ideas. I was like, oh, okay.
Right.
I mean, I'd been thinking about it, but I was like, I don't know. One of these days, we're just going to make Marcus do, like, pick 5 things.
Right.
And be like, okay, guys, we're doing one of these.
We're going to chat about those.
Yeah, well, this is what we're doing, dude.
So
I want to talk about sports today, so we're talking about sports.
So for a guy that's...
I have to do some pre-prep. I got to have more than an hour.
I was having an internet conversation with a guy who was talking about, he actually shared one of our podcast episodes, and it was the podcast episode where we were talking about you'll be the 6th. If you hang out with 5 druggies, you'll be the 6th. If you hang out with 5 losers, you'll be the 6th. If you hang out with 5 millionaires, you'll be the 6th, right? And so...
What was that? He was talking about...
He was kind of announcing, like, his new direction in life, and he's going to change up his friend base, and he wants to be the 6th, and right now... he's the one, right? All of his friends are pulling him down.
Yeah.
And he's the one that's trying to pull everyone. So he had to make a change in his friends.
You can't hang with chickens and soar like an eagle is what he put on there.
Right.
That's what it was.
Right.
How about that for a memory jump?
Yeah, that was this.
It was really good because you
Yeah.
shared it and I thought, oh man, that's fucking awesome.
Right. You can't soar like an eagle if you're hanging out with chickens.
Yep, that's right.
So, I was chatting with him a little bit about it, and he was going on to say that he's got some friends that he's got to make a change up and everything else. So if you're looking at yourself going, yeah, I'm doing too much of keeping up with the Joneses, and maybe you're carrying some debt, right now is a amazing time to correct that because assets are at an all-time high right now. So there's a good chance that your car is worth more than your note on that car. Sell the car. There's a good chance that any asset you own that you have a note on is worth more than whatever that note is because the value of things have just skyrocketed here lately. So
yeah, and if you have $30,000 worth of credit card debt and maybe you could refinance your house just a little bit and be diligent about paying that off quickly,
right,
that might be a way to go.
Right. Or another way would be, speaking from experience here, when I had about 4 credit cards that I needed to pay off, and whenever I sold all my cars with a note on them, the purpose was I could take all of that car payment money and kind of double down on the credit cards and pay everything off. I literally took the credit card with the lowest balance on it. I didn't care about, a lot of people are like, oh, I'm going to attack the one with the highest interest rate first.
No, it's the snowball.
I didn't care about the interest rate. And I later learned this was the David Ramsey method. I didn't know this going into it.
The debt snowball.
I looked at it like...
And we give credit where credit's due. Okay?
Yeah.
Dave Ramsey's helped a ton of people.
Man, he's...
If you're in super debt and you don't know what to do and this doesn't help you, listen to the Dave Ramsey show or go to daveramsey.com. I'm sure that's what it is.
Right. So I looked at it like, okay, I've got this one with a $1,000 balance, I've got this one with a $3,000 balance, and I've got this one with an $8,000 balance, and I've got this one with a $12,000 balance. And those were literally my
First
balances.
off, I have a personal question. Why did you have 4 credit cards?
Life just works in that direction. I mean, it just is. It would.
I ask you that because we all learn our lessons in different ways.
Yeah.
And that's why we do this show. Hey, listen, you don't need 4 credit cards. And if you have 4 credit cards, you probably got a problem.
Right. And so mine wasn't really a matter of keeping up with the Joneses as much as it was just things came up at inopportune times, and it just worked that way, right? So
learn that lesson, though.
Yeah. And so literally I took the one with the $1,000 balance on it, and I'm like, we're attacking this one. And then... once you pay that one off with a $1,000 balance,
gives you steam, man.
That frees, so you're paying minimum payments on everything else.
Yeah, just go one at a time.
All of your extra funding towards that one, and because we sold the cars with payments on them, we were able to chunk that one out in like a month and a half. Right? It didn't take long at all. Well, now we only have 3 credit cards instead of 4. Right? So now we just jump to the next one, and we're able to now apply the minimum payment that we were paying on the first one, the low one, and we're able to add that into the chunk, and the snowball gets a little bit bigger, and we're able to pay off that next one, and then the third one, and then the fourth one, and we paid it all off. And so that is a really good method if you're listening to the show and you're thinking, yeah, I do need to get out of credit card debt. I do need to get rid of,
and then cancel those things. Now, and don't
Yeah.
when you call in and say, hey, I want to cancel this card, don't let them sell you the
yeah,
line
they're
of
gonna,
bullshit of,
we're going to give you a rate reduction or increase your limit.
yeah, your credit's going to get dinged and this and that. Yeah, it might. Who gives a fuck? Shut
Right.
it off and throw it away.
And no, your credit won't get dinged.
No.
So if you're going from 4 cards to 1 card, your credit will probably improve, to be honest with you.
It just depends.
So
now listen, they say dinged. It may be 3 months. It may be 4 months it gets dinged.
well,
listen,
and it
we're
may
talking
get dinged
long-
by 2 points.
we're talking long
Who
term.
fucking cares
We're
about 2
talking
points?
long term
Right.
here. Get rid of that crap.
Right. So we had a credit card with a $10,000 limit on it. We kept that one. We closed everything else. We didn't keep a balance on it. We paid it off, but we kept the card just in case. And we've never used it since. Haven't used it once since. But
they
it was one
say-
of those things that was like, that's the only credit card we have. It's just in case.
The Dave Ramsey method is get rid of all credit cards and have an emergency savings fund set aside
Right.
to pay for those things. I got a credit card.
Yeah.
I use it all the time.
Yeah.
I only use the credit card, and then at the end of the month, well,
You pay everything
you
off.
write a check.
Yeah.
If you're diligent enough to do that,
Once you
I'm not gonna
develop
tell you can't do it.
Yeah,
I mean,
once you develop the discipline to use a credit card for the entire month and then pay off the balance, it's actually one of the smarter ways to go. You're better financially protected against your purchases for using a credit card than you are writing checks.
especially if you do a lot of online shopping, a lot of booking trips. I mean, now if you're a real baller, you got an Amex, right?
Right.
But I don't. I mean, you want to know the truth? I have a Cabela's card because I like hunting and fishing, and I like using the points to buy stuff I like.
Yeah.
That's what I like to do.
Yeah.
But
it takes discipline to pay off that balance every time.
I like being able to go in there when I buy a fishing line and just be able to get 6 spools and not have to pay anything for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I like to go in there and, oh man, I need a box 40 cal. You just get, you know what I mean? I mean, I'm not saving
You
them
have
up.
No.
No.
You heathen. Oh,
no.
you lost them
No.
all on that fishing accident, didn't you?
Damn right I did. I have one gun.
It's a pellet gun.
It's
a Red
I
Ryder.
have one pistol, and that's it. One pistol that I bought at a gun shop. That's it. That's all I got. Don't get me in trouble here, Mitch. Luckily, not too many people are listening to this show.
Right.
Mitch is just hanging me out to dry, man.
Yeah.
Marcus.
Feds.
I know, right? Man.
You were just talking
Yeah,
about
Marcus was going to say something a
popping
second
targets
ago.
with a 50 cal at 200 yards.
Yeah, I wish.
I was
I
going to
wish.
say nothing good comes from keeping up with the Joneses. Nothing, literally nothing. Like
No.
whether that's
Well,
looking at someone.
It makes you feel
So,
better, but
here's
that
the
doesn't help
challenge.
you in the long run. I'm with Marcus.
So in reality, no, it doesn't. But in digital reality, it does. There's a lot of people that have actually made money by faking wealth, right? You're making relationships. So here's the allure to
Is
it.
that keeping up with the Joneses though?
It is. But here's the allure to it, and here's why it's such a difficult thing and really kind of a stigma to talk about, is because there are people out there who fake wealth, and then they become wealthy. It's the whole fake it till you make it type of thing, right? So they become
fake it till
wealthy
you make it, baby.
because you faked it. There's guys that will rent a Lambo, post pictures of it on Instagram to help make a sale, and then that sale earned them enough money to actually go buy the Lambo that they rented for.
But I would consider that strategic in a sense. Like,
That's not
Maybe.
really. You're
keeping
not
up with the
keeping up with
Joneses
the
is more so
Joneses.
like, I could invest this money, but I want to impress some people. I want to show them that I got.
I know, but
Yeah.
but the problem is people lie to themselves on what keeping up with the Joneses is, and for every guy that actually fakes it on social media until they make it, there's hundreds, if not thousands, of people that are faking it on social media until they're broke.
Well, and so part of the definition is that it drives people to irrationally overspend.
Right.
If you're doing it in a way that's
Right.
and I think that's bullshit too, because
Yeah.
I hate fake people. So I'm not going to say that you're wrong that it has helped people to do certain things, but
Yeah.
that's not really what we're breaking down here.
Right. So we get kind of an interesting view. Maybe me just a tad more than Dave, but definitely Dave as well. there's an interesting thing that happens when you go into multiple people's homes every day.
Oh yeah.
As a plumber,
Excuse me. Going through puberty.
Yeah, we're going into 3 to 4 each of our plumbers, myself included, going into 3 to 4 homes every day, and so we get a fairly intimate look into the inner workings of people's lifestyles, and people are just simply amazing.
They're amazingly different too.
Oh my gosh!
Like you can go into a house, and I know where you're going with this. So you go into a house, and the guy's literally got a 65-inch plasma, not even an LED. He's got a plasma, and then he's in his office, and he's got 3 freaking screens, and he's got 2 alien computers, and then you go out into the garage because you got to get into the electric panel, and the guy's got a Corvette. And then, you go downstairs and the guy's got a wall full of bourbon and it's just this awesome bar. And then the guy literally doesn't have $180 to pay for whatever the call was. And you see him flip open his wallet and there's 7 credit cards in there. And he's literally, you can see he's like, man, I don't need...
Which one's not going to get declined?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you're just like, dude,
right?
Your priorities are completely out of whack.
Right,
right. What are you doing?
And then we'll go into other customers' homes.
And I'm not being judgy. It's
no. Yeah.
Your shit is messed up, man.
We'll go into other customers' homes. Speaking of Dave Ramsey earlier, we'll go into other customers' homes and we'll literally tell them like, okay, yeah, bad news, you need a new water heater and it's going to cost $2,000 or whatever the case may be for their application, and they'll say, okay, do it. And then whenever it comes time to pay the bill, they'll literally walk back to some bedroom somewhere and grab an envelope.
Oh, that says home repairs,
and they'll talk to each other and they're like, do we want to pull this from the home repairs envelope or do we want to pull this from the emergency fund envelope? And like they're you can tell they're doing the whole Dave Ramsey method, and they have all of their discretionary and emergency funding set aside, and it's sitting there in envelopes in their house. And I mean, more power to them. That's freaking great.
Go ahead. Sorry.
But that's it's the difference of the severity of people. That people are so drastically different.
Yeah, it's
amazing to see.
And older people. So Dave Ramsey is not the first person to do that.
No.
Like not my grandparents, but I've known people, their grandparents, they literally had a coffee can or 2, maybe 2 or 3 coffee cans. Not
back
like
when coffee cans were metal.
Yeah, not when it was like, it is, but they had them on the fridge or whatever, and this one had, $400 mad money in it, and this one was, the boat can, and it had $7,000 in it or whatever. People knew how to save back then.
Yeah.
Because money was tight.
Yeah.
And now people are just like
splurging.
Yep.
And this gets back to Mitch saying, the commercials on TV and the government and all that, and they make it easy for you to borrow money because, let's be honest, we've talked about this before, they want to keep you pinned down.
Yeah.
They don't want you to have financial freedom.
I mean, shit, you can go buy new rims for your truck right now on $29 a month payments.
Yeah.
Like, that's a problem.
No. You can buy shoes on payments, too.
Oh, my gosh.
It's like Venmo. You can go on Venmo, and if you can literally, if you
game consoles and shit.
Yeah, if you want to pay $7 a month for the next 84,000 years, you can do it. It's like, are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah.
And
that's
people,
scary.
And look, and the sick part is that people look at, oh, man, that family's having so much fun, or oh, that guy's having so much fun,
and that's keeping up.
I don't have it right now, and that's keeping up with the Joneses, and that's how they fall into that.
Well, and none
comparison.
Yeah, and it never fails. You've got like any financing application always shows like a family that's really in shape on a beach. They're having fun.
Yeah.
Like, you want this purchase, right? Because this means the perfect lifestyle, and it's so bullshit.
Yeah.
There's no way. There's no way to fix it other than taking the discipline taking control of your own life and the discipline to spot all of that and realize that, okay, the people that are falling for that ain't making it anywhere. And the people that are actually successful were able to see that in a whole different picture and say like, I don't want that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make decisions against that. So I was going to say something and now I can't remember what it was.
What was it about? What were we talking about?
Man, I can't remember.
You want me to give you 2 minutes? Do you want me to fill time?
Go ahead.
You want Marcus to ask me a question?
Go ahead, yeah.
What do you want to do?
Nah.
You want to just wander with
it'll come back.
A
It'll come back.
glassy-eyed look over your face. You
Yeah.
know, this, as far as keeping up with the Joneses, it kind of gets you into, especially when you're an hourly employee, it also drives part of the American workaholic syndrome, where you just, you get into so much debt that you have to work all the time.
Yeah.
And you have to drive yourself to be better. Keeping up with the Joneses isn't just about spending money. It's about being better than Dave at the office.
Right.
It's about being better than Jennifer at the gym. It's just that mindset of I'm going to try to be better than everyone else all the time.
Yeah.
And it's a sickness.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
It'll mess you up. And a lot of people will let that overtake their lives to the point where it's all unhealthy, but where it's a real problem. And if you get to that point, or if you're listening to this show and you're like, man, we're spending so much money, or my husband's spending so much money trying to, do this, and we're in this much debt and that, sometimes you need to go to, would it be a psychologist or psychiatrist?
Shrink or some shit.
Probably a
How about
psychologist.
get some professional help?
Yeah.
Maybe call somebody and say, hey, we need to sit down and.
Psychologist talks to you. Psychiatrist prescribes.
Oh, so psychiatrist is who I would go to. Like, hey,
No, I think you're right, man.
hey, what do you got? What you got?
Sometimes
You got a good. What, is it blue? What
so
do you got?
the problem with going to like a psychologist or
know.
a psychiatrist is people know the right answer. They just don't want to hear it. And so you go to
that's what those people's job is to help them realize the answer on their own.
right.
That's really so a good professional, that's their job.
I know. I could never be that job because probably 90% of their customers are letting it go in one ear and out the other. Like they're so addicted to the problem
Yeah.
that they don't want to solve it. They just want to act like they're trying to solve it. Like I'm showing up at the meetings.
It could be like teaching though too, where it takes just one student that changes their life that year to make it worth it.
I hate that whole if it affects
Oh,
one.
I see what you're saying.
Dude, if you change one person's life for real, it completely changes your life also.
I know.
So
I just hate
just
that.
because you haven't done it,
No,
don't think that that wouldn't work.
I have done
bullshit.
it. I have done it. There's a lot of people that waste enormous amounts of time, effort, and money under the premise of if it changes just one life, it was worth it. I'm sorry. It probably still wasn't.
So you think it should just be one bullet?
I'm not going to say
Where
one
you at?
bullet.
Well, let's find out.
But I'm not going to go to
You don't bring it up and then don't have a line in the
I
sand.
get what you're saying though.
I'm not
going
gonna
to
go-
know that they need to do the right thing.
Right. You go.
Some people just don't.
Some people don't though.
Some
That's
people
true.
don't. Some people refuse to listen, and that's usually the biggest problem. So, I've watched guys. I know a guy personally that he's recently been through a divorce. He's a 50% dad, right? So they have shared custody. He had a brand new 2022 Chevy truck, and he was talking to me, and he says, I need to sell my truck because I can't afford the payments on it now that I'm divorced. Okay. So he sells his truck.
Realistic.
Right. Good initiative.
Realistic.
Goes out and
Bad
buys.
execution.
Well, goes out and buys a very nice used Toyota.
Tundra?
No,
Tacoma?
what's the SUV?
Sequoia?
The smaller one.
The RAV4?
Pathfinder.
Pathfinder? I think it's
that's a
Pathfinder.
bigger one.
Pathfinder.
That's a bigger one, right?
No, Sequoia is the giant, enormous one.
What's the sporty off-road one?
Pathfinder.
Not a Pathfinder. I can't remember what it is.
Some Toyota.
Anyway, goes out and buys a nice sporty.
For all of those that have kept listening through that.
Yes. Anyway, yeah, he goes and buys that, and it's like, well, what's your payment on that? Well, it's $150 a month less than it was on the truck, and I'm like, you did all of that motion to save $150 a month, and the justification was, well, I mean, as hard as I work, I deserve a nice vehicle.
No, you deserve a reliable vehicle.
Right, and you need a reliable vehicle,
Yeah.
right? If you have children and everything else, right?
Yeah.
People are afraid of struggle, bro.
I know.
They don't want to go through that struggle, man.
And so I'm like, I'm talking to him, and I'm like, you realize I drove like an $800 Ford Ranger for a long
here we
time.
go. Mitch talking about his truck again.
Well,
fucking goddamn it.
I mean, it's a great example.
Lord, excuse me.
He called me one time and my truck was like leaking in. He's like, yeah, you can't park in the driveway anymore.
Well,
Oh shit! Oh,
Yeah.
it's getting real now.
yeah, Marcus's truck was a little leaky.
Making the black guy park in the road, man.
God,
Oh
I
shit,
kind of felt the way. I'm like,
man,
you know what?
dude.
Well, then his truck, what, it get
Marcus.
stolen? No, it got broke into.
It got broken
It got
into.
broke
Yeah, he got
into,
broke
and
into.
yeah, so
Did you ever get all those cameras replaced?
Cameras.
yeah.
All the, damn,
Come
man.
on, where are
Come
you
on,
at?
man. All the cameras that got stolen.
know
A
those
lot
what?
of feds on the thing. Right
Yeah,
Let's just speed up.
come on.
What we talking about?
You
here?
were there.
Finish your story. man.
Oh
So,
shit.
so I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, man, you started off with the greatest of intent, right? Sell the vehicle that's got the payment on it. You can free up hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month.
Yeah.
And then poor execution, you really only saved like $150 a month.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, and the part of it is society has told him he deserves to drive a nice vehicle. I work so hard every day. I work so hard to
That's
provide
part of that
for my daughter.
advertisement you were talking about.
Right. So society has cultured people into the idea that you deserve this.
Yeah.
What you deserve is like a lifestyle of happiness, and what it takes to achieve a lifestyle of happiness
Sacrifice.
is, well, it's really like embarrassingly boring, right?
Yeah.
Happiness is the knowledge and the willpower and the know-how to live within your income. That's happiness. Happiness is not financing a nice car so you look good to people who you don't even know.
Absolutely.
That's not happiness. There's been a lot of studies, and I can probably agree with this, that if a person crests the $70,000 a year income level,
You talking about a person or a couple?
a person,
Single
an
person.
individual person, if they crest $70,000 a year in income, their happiness level no longer improves in relation to their income. Now, I'm sure that varies a little bit state to state.
I would
right?
say a lot of that also has to do with when that happens.
Yeah, their age is going to affect that a little bit.
Say I get to be 50 and I've worked I worked construction from 20 to 50 and I've worked hard for that money and
Right.
then all of a sudden I win the lottery and I get 10 million. I'm way happier with the 10 million because I know that I need to make that last and I can quit my but
So-
those
some of
are
that's
the,
age.
Those are the outliers too.
But what they're getting at is at the $70,000 a year level, you have enough money.
Was this
to-
before Biden or after?
Honestly,
that number's probably more
this
like
was
100.
before.
It's
right,
probably
right,
like
right.
130
You're
now.
right. You're right. So after we factor in Bidenflation,
Biden inflation.
now we're at $98,000 a year.
Okay, I'll give you 30. I'll give you 30. That's reasonable.
But so the study was basically hinting at the fact that at $70,000 a year, you are making enough to cover all of the realistic expenses it takes to live and put enough away for the future that any problems beyond that are your own doing.
Yeah.
And
you
so,
still have money to be reasonably entertained.
Yeah.
right, and you
And
have
have
you
your
have
expenses
discretionary money, right? And so if you have problems beyond that point, you've created them for yourself.
And
Now-
that's what most people do, man.
like you're bad with money.
Yeah.
Right.
Is that what
Exactly.
you're
That's
saying?
what most people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you got a raise from 50 to 70 and you went out and bought a brand new Suburban
Whatever. Yeah.
that's $90,000, right? And now you're paying, $1,200 a month in payments or whatever. I don't know what a new Suburban costs, but I mean they're
I
fucking
think
expensive.
Increasing your
I think they're like 110.
Right.
Yeah,
So
it's
crazy.
an insanity.
I mean, you see a lot of that where people they don't have their finances in order. They don't know how to live within their income before they make 70. And so after they make 70, the problems just get exponential.
Yeah. It's kind
And-
of like this is a little bit of a side tangent, but it's like the people that have 6 kids and then they're like, but I have 6 kids. You know what? Maybe you should have thought about that at kid 3.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
Maybe you
True.
should have went and bought a $12 box of condoms
right.
and been like, you know what?
My wife and I figured out what caused kids after 2, and so we got cable.
It took us 1.
Yeah. Well, you were smarter than we were.
1. And I was like, this is how much it costs?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Now, here's what's crazy.
Oh shit.
So my wife, when we had our first kid, my wife worked for Sprint, and this was back when Sprint was like awesome, and they were like the top dogs in the cell phone industry.
So like a month later, that no longer happened.
This would have been 12 years ago, 13 years ago, right? So we had our first kid. Sprint's insurance was so amazing. It literally cost us $100.
Cheap.
We paid a $100 copay at the visit where they do the test and say, yes, you're pregnant. And literally, we spent zero money after that. The entire, like, all the pregnancy visits, all the birth, the everything, $0.
That stuff's not so bad. It's the after stuff.
Oh yeah,
It's the $700 a month in daycare.
yeah. When they,
I
mean, true life story. We're $12,000 into this now. A car pulled out in front of my kid riding his bike home from the school, and car pulled out of a driveway. Didn't see my kid. Stopped because they saw my kid at the last second. My kid slams on the brakes on his bike and goes over the front handlebars, bites the pavement, literally breaks out all of his front teeth on the street, skids to a stop, never touches the car. Okay?
You paying for that.
I have to pay for it because he didn't make contact with the vehicle.
Yeah.
Even though the vehicle caused the incident, he didn't make contact with the vehicle, so it's not a motor vehicle accident.
I'm not going to be heartless here, but that's like one of those, like if that was real life, it would be a 50-50.
Well, I mean, it is real life. It actually happens.
No, I mean
to
two cars. I meant two cars.
Right. So like,
I was on my phone. What happened?
Of course you were on your phone. Dude, this is a professional.
What happened?
Oh,
The only son of a bitch
Marcus
getting a
actually
paycheck.
admitted. Yeah.
The only guy getting a
He's
paycheck.
the only guy in the room
sorry.
getting a paycheck on this deal.
Sorry, I was on my phone.
Yeah.
What happened?
We
So
gotta,
Mason, my oldest son,
we gotta talk about
his
this
two
after
front
the show.
teeth are fake.
Okay.
They're not real.
Okay.
About 3 or 4 years ago, he was riding his bike home from the school, and a car pulled out of a driveway down the street from us, like 8 or 9 houses down.
Yeah.
And didn't see him. And then the moment they saw him, they slammed on the brakes, but they were already in front of him, and he slammed on the brakes to not pile into their fender.
Yeah.
And he went over the handlebars and kissed the pavement and broke out all of his front teeth.
Let me
like
ask
we were literally picking teeth up out of the pavement, and we took him to the ER with teeth in baggies, and said, "Can you put him back together?" I mean, it was like the
It's not
freaking
the Humpty,
egg on the wall,
it's
right?
not the Humpty Dumpty man.
Yeah. Well, no, they literally glued, like one of his teeth, they literally took all the pieces, and they're like, we actually have enough pieces to put this one back together. And they glued it back together.
God.
The other one shattered clear below the gum line, and it's been $12,000 and 3 years of dental stuff to get him back to where he is.
Let me ask you this.
He just got braces.
I knew
right?
this before.
Yeah.
I knew this before, but I never asked. Did they offer to pay anything?
Oh, gosh, no.
They were complete dicks.
No, they were
about
like,
it.
oh, sorry, but I mean, hope he's okay, right? And so
did you go down there
and-
later?
And these aren't neighbors. The people that did this, they were actually buying a piece of furniture. They were buying. They showed up. They responded to an online ad for a piece of furniture that a neighbor was selling, and they had bought this. It's not a neighbor. They were at the neighbor's house, but it was a guest, and not even like a known guest, right? So we talked to some attorneys. We probably could have sued him, but I've never sued anybody in my life, and I mean, it's just one of those things that it's like.
Did you have the? Listen, I need more information.
Yeah.
So did you contact them and say,
Oh, yeah.
hey? And they just said, oh, no, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't ask them to pay for it, but we contacted them, and they're aware that they, sorry it happened, and it was just kind of one of those things, and we didn't see him, and, I'm glad he didn't hit the car, and I'm thinking, man, your fender's a whole lot softer than the asphalt. Like, I would have much rather him hit the car, and then if he hit the car, now your car insurance is paying for all of it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly. Like if just as a personal example, you talk about people's hearts. Like if that happened to me, and I pulled out, dude, I would feel so bad.
Yeah.
I'd be like, dude, if you want me to pay for half, if you want me to pay for all of it,
right.
I'll turn it into my insurance. We'll kick a dent in the side of the damn truck. I don't care.
Right.
We'll make them freaking pay for it.
Well,
allegedly.
Real life story. My mom.
I mean, come on. I mean, how much of a dick do you have to be? I hope someday someone sees this episode and they're like, oh, that was us. Oh, yeah. Well, you know what? You're a piece of shit.
Yeah. Like 6 months ago, my mom had a knee replacement, right?
First off, your mom is Mr. Glass.
I know. Mrs. Glass.
Mrs. Glass.
Yeah.
You know what I meant.
Yeah.
From Unbreakable. She's
yeah.
She's Mr. Glass.
She rolled out of bed and cracked a whole bunch of ribs. She tripped over the doormat and broke her ankle, and like she breaks easy. But she, like 6 months ago, she had a total knee replacement. Like 3 or 4 months ago, it was right before Christmas. She was walking out of their office, walking to her car, and this car drove past her, and then for some reason, don't know why, for some reason, put it in reverse and started backing up through the dark parking lot and hit her.
Jesus.
And drove right over her foot, broke her foot. She fell down, cracked her knee on the ground. It literally ripped open her like 2-month-old knee surgery incision, like wide open, like bled all over the parking lot, bled all over the ambulance, everything.
I hope you're not
like,
eating breakfast or anything right now.
I mean, life just freaking happens sometimes,
Yeah.
right? Now, obviously, in that case, his insurance is taking care of it and all of that stuff. But you know, you can't prepare yourself for some of the weird shit that life throws at you.
That also speaks to you can't do that. Maybe you have to have money set aside for incidences like your kid smashed all his teeth out on the concrete,
Right?
And now you've got to pay for it,
right?
So
right.
maybe try to be prepared.
And so at the moment that happened, we had not started our company yet. I was in the process of getting debt free. Literally, I shit you not, literally the day before that happened is the day I bought that $800 Ford Ranger. I shit you not. Like, I bought that Ranger and it needed some work, and I planned on like getting right to it because I don't let projects sit. And I wasn't able to get to it for quite a while because I was dealing with my son and his teeth and all that stuff. But I mean, we were in that mode of like being prepared for everything, and then all of a sudden,
One more thing,
right? Now, in all fairness, the $12,000 that we've spent on his teeth, that's happened over the last 3 years.
Yeah, it wasn't all at once.
It wasn't all at once, right? Now, what's funny is it happened right after I had changed jobs, and I opted not to get COBRA insurance over the 90-day wait period to get insurance at the new job. So it was during a 90-day window where we did not have insurance.
Ouch.
Now, as luck would have it, it would have been covered under dental, not under medical, and dental has $1,000 a year max annual payout. So it
so you were
really,
toast.
I mean, it didn't matter anyway. Like, even if we had paid the COBRA, which the COBRA was thousands of dollars a month, it was crazy.
Cobra's expensive.
So if we had paid the COBRA, it
Healthcare
wouldn't.
in this country is a problem.
Yeah. It's funny. One of my friends shared a meme this
It's a
morning.
problem.
One of my friends shared a meme this morning comparing insurance to pizza.
First off, insurance, and I don't mean health insurance. I'm going to let you finish. Insurance is the biggest scam in the history of America.
It is.
Damn, really?
Homeowners.
The moment the
car
government
insurance.
required it.
No, before that. Okay? When it first started, it worked. You could go in and not pay a huge deductible. You didn't have to fight them tooth and nail to get anything covered. Now it's like an insurance agent who doesn't even do the claims or half of the paperwork is making $1.5 million a year.
I don't know what agent. My dad's an insurance. My dad owns an insurance
First
agency,
off,
and he ain't making $1 million a year.
I know it's not. You know what? I meant to say $1.5 million in sales a year, and some of those guys are making $250, $300 a year.
Right.
That they're getting to take home, and they're doing nothing but writing policies.
Right.
Something's screwed up.
Yep.
Something is screwed up. And let me be clear: the government's not going to fix it. So for all of you going pounding the desk, oh, government health care. No, that's not it either.
Just make it worse.
No, there needs to be some serious legislation done to fix the problems we have.
So a friend of mine shared this meme about comparing insurance to pizza, and he says, all right, here's the deal. You're going to pay me $400 a month. Anytime you want pizza, you have to get a pre-authorization through me.
I like this.
I'm going to tell you who you can buy pizza from. And then after you have spent $250 a year on pizza, I will cover all of your other pizza expenses up to 50%.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, man, that's not a classic case of healthcare there, right?
Oh, my God, dude.
I think the best way to describe healthcare in the United States is it's not healthcare. It is extorting people for money for sick care. Like, they don't do anything to make sure you stay healthy. They really wait until you're sick and then they want to take care of you there.
Well, if you were healthy, you wouldn't need them.
Right.
You know, now listen, people still get sick. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But they have pushed us all to the brink of you could die any day because you're fat and overweight and your cholesterol's 1 billion over.
And America is one of the only places where drug companies are allowed to advertise sicknesses on TV.
Yeah.
You can literally self-diagnose yourself with a sickness based off of a...
Self-diagnose yourself.
Yeah. Self-diagnosis of yourself.
There you go.
Based off of a drug company's advertisement, so much so that now you're going to your doctor
saying, I think
I have this, and I think I want this medicine to solve it.
It's bullshit.
It is absolute bullshit.
It's bullshit.
Like, oh my God. And WebMD ain't helping, right?
No, WebMD. So I have
Yeah,
So
I had
I
the
go to
sniffles and a sore throat and,
Yeah.
and an ear that I couldn't hear out of, and next thing you know, I had testicular cancer.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh, what?
I told my doctor that. I went in and saw him. I was having some esophagus stuff, and I was like, hey, listen, I'm not I'm not a worrier. I'm not scared. I just, I looked online. This is what it said. And he said, okay, he said there were only like 2 or 3 actual things he said.
Right.
Or that I told him about. He's like, yeah, we're going to do this and do this and do this. And he said, stop going on WebMD.
Yeah.
And I said, I laughed, and he said, no, seriously.
Yeah.
It creates more anxiety and stress than anything, and half of it's wrong.
Yeah.
I was like, well, and I told him, I said, look, I normally don't. I said, but I was actually concerned, and I was like, maybe I'll do some pre-prep.
Yeah.
But he's like, no, seriously.
Yeah.
Don't go on there.
So I used to work at a place that, and truth be told, there is probably hiding in the wings somewhere. There's probably a class action lawsuit against this company for the number of employees.
Easy.
No.
Don't get us sued. We don't have any money.
The number
doesn't make any money.
The number of employees that went on antidepressants while working there is staggering.
Is
And
that
so-
because of prescriptions or because the job sucked?
Because the job, the culture of the place was so bad.
Yeah, you got
The number of employees that went on antidepressants while
take
working.
Lexapro.
And I'm not advocating for that. I'm just saying, like, if really somebody wanted to put the pencil to the paper, there's probably one sitting there, right? Well, I was one of those employees.
Yeah.
I'm a very reasonably sounding person. I operate very and even I myself, I went on antidepressants while working there, right? Well, while we were trying to solve all of it, it didn't present itself like it was a depression thing. It presented itself more like a possible cardiac thing, or like I was getting short of breath, I was having a hard time breathing,
Anxiety,
I was feeling like heart palpitations.
Anxiety will make you short of breath.
Yeah, I know.
That happened to me. They put me on Lexapro for a while.
And that's what I was on.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
I only took it for a little while, and then I realized, you know what?
Mine was situational, and once I removed myself from the situation, I was able to get off of it. But
I just took it. I took it for like 3 months, and it
that's
was
about where mine was.
and it was fine. And then I realized, you know what? The real problem is me.
Yep.
And what I think about these things, and I don't like taking this bullshit.
Bam!
I threw it the hell away, and I just made myself sit down. I know this sounds way easier than it really is. I just sat down, and I was like, okay, this is where I'm at. This is where I want to be. Now, listen, nothing major changed in my life.
No.
Just my mental perspective of what was going on changed.
Right. So
and then I moved on.
And
so it helped me. Don't get me wrong. It helped me realize the problem, and then I was able to move on and get rid of it. But
I've said these exact words to my wife. The Lexapro for me, I think mine may have been lisinopril. No, I don't know. I'm horrible with drug names.
mine was an off-brand.
Anyway.
He said, hey, it's Lexapro, and then there was a word that was like 2 foot freaking long, and then he was like, this is the same thing.
I think
Okay.
lisinopril is a high blood pressure medicine. So I think it was Lexapro.
Sorry,
but anyway,
we're getting off topic here.
But anyway, mine, like, it allowed the fog. So I was in a place where I couldn't quite get myself out of, right? It was all foggy and murky, and I couldn't quite see the forest through the trees.
You couldn't stand outside of yourself and see yourself.
Yeah,
right.
and so literally that medication allowed the fog to clear so I could see the path to correctness. I still had to make the walk down that path.
Yeah, the medicine doesn't
It's not a magic pill.
No,
The
none
medicine,
of them are.
right? The medicine helps make it easier to see the right path.
Yeah.
You still have to put in the work every day to walk that path. Now,
Yeah.
it's funny we're talking about that. What do you think causes depression?
Lots of things cause depression.
Debt,
Yeah, stress.
keeping up with the
Stress
Joneses.
causes depression. Oh yeah, keeping up with
Stress,
the Joneses. That's when you say that, when you're trying to keep up with the Joneses, I think that's a type of stress too.
Oh, it's
You know
absolutely
what
a
I
type
mean?
of stress.
Because when you look out and see that shit, and you're
Yeah.
like, it just makes you feel bad, and that's
Yeah.
stress.
yeah.
You know, you're just like, oh man,
And-
I'm not good enough.
And
That's
this was
stress.
at
Stressful.
the point where I had already sold the vehicles with loans on them. I had already bought that $800 Ranger. I was doing the motions, but I wasn't complete. Like, I knew it was the right thing to do, but I wasn't like on board, if that makes sense.
Well,
Like, I'm doing it, but with regret.
So when we talk about the going to a psychiatrist, same thing. You knew the right thing to do, but you couldn't get there.
Yeah.
So
Couldn't-
maybe a professional could have helped you too.
possibly.
Maybe.
So I had, 20 years ago, I had like a heart procedure. And so I thought this was like this heart thing kind of rearing back up. And so I went to a cardiologist, and they put me on all these drugs and everything, or they run me through all these tests. And then they put me on a drug, and they said, we're going to try this drug out. And they put me on the drug, and I'm like, yeah, that seems to be working. Like, I'm not feeling anything. And they're like, okay, we're going to come clean with you. That was
They
not
gave you sugar pills.
No, that was not a cardiac drug. That was an anti-anxiety medicine. We think you're suffering from depression and anxiety.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh,
I like.
well,
how
whatever
it
was, it worked.
I like how they always say anxiety and depression are like the same thing. No, they're not.
Oh man, they're two totally different.
I know
things.
they're like, but for some reason the one drug does it. Like this,
Mm-hmm.
side tangent. Like,
Well, they play off of each other.
and
right?
I'm not gonna say I'm not a doctor. Listen, don't
Anxiety
take
causes
anything I
depression.
say. Yes.
And depression causes anxiety.
Yeah.
Right.
If you know you have it.
Right.
If you don't know you have it, you don't have anxiety about it.
Right.
It's
Right.
so, the
It's-
human brain is a really fucked up thing.
It's a weird.
Those
weird
chemicals
thing.
rolling around in there. And it's weird. So it's like you get older and you think you get more of a grasp on it. But really all you're doing is you're getting closer to the truth over here, but then farther away from the bullshit over here. And eventually sometimes those things are going to try to come back and forth
Right.
against each other.
Well, and we were talking about this before the show started. People live on a various range of health standards, right? You got people that drink and smoke and overeat and are obese and all this stuff. And then you got people that work out every day and they watch their carbs and they watch their calories and they're living such a calculated life.
Overdo it one way or the other.
But we all seem to die around 70 to 80 years old. So doing all of the things right doesn't necessarily extend your life, but it probably extends your quality of life. And so,
Or you'll be more happy during the years that you have now.
right.
Say you do die early, but you got in shape and worked out and were able to enjoy the next 15
right.
if something were to happen.
And happiness ain't French fries. Happiness ain't the latest and greatest shades or the latest and greatest shoes or the cool car.
Yeah.
Happiness
100%.
Happiness is being able to be confident and okay with yourself at the lifestyle you're living without all of the flashy stuff.
Yeah. You're not going to be a Kardashian. You're not going to have $50 billion.
Right.
It's time to
Right.
realize, okay, you know what? I need to be happy with who I am now
Right.
and then apply myself. And if I realize I'm not happy and I want to be more successful,
Right.
now I have a grasp of who I am and I can do that.
Yeah. And it's perfectly, like we talked about earlier with that $70,000 benchmark. It's perfectly okay to kind of use that benchmark as,
We're Biden America, 98.
well, okay.
98.
You could still do it with 70. Use the benchmark of 70 to say, like, okay, if let's say you're making 40 or 50 a year, you're not quite to 70. Use that as a reference point to say, I don't have quite everything, so I need to be extra diligent, right? But then let's say you hit 70 or 80 or 90 grand a year at your income level. Well, the moment you break 70, you need to be honest with yourself and evaluate your spending and say, like, okay, according to all these studies, I should be making enough to be happy. So if I'm not, it has something to do with my spending habits and not to do with how much I'm making. I don't need to hold a grudge against my employer because they won't give me a $5,000 a year raise. Meanwhile, I'm spending an extra $10,000 a year more than I make on credit cards, right?
Yeah.
That $5,000 a year raise ain't solving that problem.
And
You stop the spending, and you're going to be much happier than even if your employer gave you the $5,000 a year raise.
Go back to what you were saying. Say you're making 40, 50, 60. Say you're making 50,000 and you're not quote unquote happy. Maybe sit down, do a budget. If you're not doing a budget, do a budget and say, okay, what would make me happy at this point in my life?
Right.
Is it a classic car? Is it a boat so you could go fishing? Is it a lake house? Is it, whatever that thing is, and then find out how much that would cost. I guarantee it's less than 20,000, or maybe it's 25. Well, now that puts you at 70, 75, or 80, just like you were saying. So I'm not saying you can just automatically shit out that $25,000, but
Right.
you realize, okay, for me to get that happy, I need this. And it would normally take this amount of money, but I'm making this amount of money.
Well,
maybe take that $50,000 and trim things off of that. This is living within your means so that you can get that one thing that makes you happy, or those couple of things, or maybe go out and get a part-time job, or maybe start putting your resume out there. Because if you're making 50, you're probably pretty good at the job you have now. Maybe you can get another 15.
maybe you can make 60
Maybe
somewhere
you
else.
can make 20. Maybe,
Yeah.
but you won't know that. My point is, you won't know that until you sit down and do the math,
Right.
and know what that number is going to be and where you need to be at.
Now-
knowledge is power.
Yeah. Now, the big thing, though, is to realize happiness isn't the fishing boat. Happiness isn't the classic car.
What do you mean by the fishing boat? I've never heard that.
Like
Catch a
what?
fish.
No, I was
what-
I was just saying. So if you made 50,000 and you love everything about your life, but that one extra thing that would really make you happy
Right.
would be able to go fishing on the weekends.
Yep.
So,
If everything else was okay,
right,
and you needed that one more thing.
Yep.
right. Have you ever bought a brand new car?
Nope.
Never once.
Nope.
You got a new to you car, though, right?
New to you car. Yeah.
You mean buying a used car? Yes.
Yeah,
of
new to
course.
you,
No one's
right?
ever given me a vehicle. Yeah.
All right. So,
Those motherfucker tings they're just coming out of the sky.
That's a
Well, go
rhetorical
boom,
question.
truck
He's trying
out
to
in the
lead up
fucking
to something.
parking
He's trying
lot.
to lead
How-
up to something.
Yeah, I know he is. He ain't as smart as me though.
right.
Let's see what you got. Come on, bring it.
How long were you happy when you got the car, the new to you car?
One time, when I bought that Camaro,
Right.
that was the one time.
Happy as shit.
How long were you happy for that?
Oh man, I was happy for that car for
Well,
years.
you were young,
Yeah, I was 19,
right?
so
Okay.
I was happy for a really long time.
Right.
But cars, that's probably a bad example for me because I've had a few really nice cars, really nice trucks.
Mm-hmm.
But the truck, they were tools for me.
Right.
I wasn't buying a truck to, feel good about something. I was
Right.
buying them
Ask me,
because I
Mitch.
was like, I need this.
How about
I need
Marcus?
this.
Yeah, ask me, Mitch. Go ahead.
Have you ever had a brand new car?
I've
Brand,
never had a
brand new.
car. Nope.
What about the
lease car. Does that count though?
Yeah,
okay,
it sure
okay.
does.
If
Okay,
it was
sure,
brand
sure,
new,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, so you had a brand new car.
Mm-hmm.
How did it make you feel the first day you had it?
Great. And in 2-3 months, it's like gets old.
Right.
Right.
Right. So
Yeah.
I guess that's what I'm getting at, right? All things new
I helped you out with that, didn't I?
get old after a
Yeah,
couple of
kids
See
months.
what I'm saying?
You could go
I
have a
wanted him to
Lambo.
get to where his point was.
You could buy a Lambo, and in a couple of months,
It
I'm
just
not.
gets
I'm
old.
not going to say the Lambo's not cool anymore after a couple of months. It definitely ain't what it was on day one.
That's the same
right?
thing with technology too.
And so part of the problem that we have is we're chasing that day one feeling constantly.
Yep.
Well, let me ask you this. So say you buy, first off, if you can afford a Lambo, it's an investment because they're at the upper.
Right.
So is a 56 Bel Air convertible.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
where do you- whatever, no matter what you say, that's an investment. So say you buy that, and then after 6 months you're like, and you sell it and you buy another one that costs you the same amount of money but brings that feeling back.
Right. That's
I mean, you're chasing it,
I
but
walked
yes,
into my
that's
uncle's
not that's
house.
not who really we're talking to though. We're talking to the person who's making 40 or 50 a year.
I went into my uncle's house, right? And I remember when I was like about 5 years ago, he had bought a big screen TV, right? And he was like this is like he's watching this football. It was his all end all be all.
He had been waiting for that TV
exactly
for 10 years.
Exactly.
Yep.
Now, fast forward 3-4 years now, he's like, well, fuck, they got these OLED screens out and shit.
QLEDs, baby.
QLEDs and shit, and like now he's like thinking about doing like getting nut. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Right.
And it's he only knows about that shit because like his friends have
Yeah.
the latest and greatest.
Keeping up with the Joneses.
Keeping up with the Joneses.
Right. So that I guess that's what I'm getting at is we spend a lot of our time chasing that day one feeling, and then when the new wears off, we're searching for another day one feeling.
So
right?
if you make that 70,000, are you telling me you get more day one feelings?
That's
Because
that
you have the
bachelor
money,
life.
you have the money to buy those things.
No, the 70,000 thing has to do with like at $70,000, you have the income to pay your light bill, to pay your water bill, to pay your mortgage or your rent. Like you're making enough to cover living expenses and have discretional money. So anything beyond that doesn't equate to happiness. Like a lot of people are unhappy because they're literally struggling to pay their bills every month, right?
Yeah.
If you're making 35 grand a year or 40 grand a year,
You're struggling right now.
You're struggling,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. And it's hard to stay happy there. Well, don't think the answer is making 100 grand a year. At 70, you should be able to pay all your bills. And so there's a lot of people that are making 70 and still aren't happy. Well, it's because at that point, they've now chosen a higher level of bills to pay.
Right.
They've chosen the max cable package. They've chosen the crazy new cell phone and the crazy new internet package and the fancy car and
that's the chasing the Joneses.
yeah,
That's-
the Netflix and the Hulu and the Disney Plus
Right.
and the, all of the monthly subscriptions. They've chosen all of that stuff to put themselves in a bind. So, changing your mindset to get away from that day one feeling, or at least even being able to recognize that, okay, this is cool day one.
Where am I going to be in 2 months?
Right. Buy it for the day 360 feeling.
Let me ask you this question now: what happens about what about the guys who were born in shit that didn't have shit, and they're like, you know what? I want to taste shit. I want to taste what it like.
Not taste.
Not
You want to
shit.
taste the fine life.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
want
right.
to taste.
I know what he's saying.
Right.
I know what
right.
he's saying.
Right.
I know what he's saying.
What about that?
I mean, it's still kind of the same, right? So some of those guys will grow up and they'll be like, oh, because I was born in this shit, I don't want to go back there. And so I know I have to be diligent and save. Other guys, you hand them $1,000 and they're going to be broke tomorrow because they're going to take that 1,000 and go blow it tonight. And they wanted to live one night like a baller.
So it's a matter of looking at the bigger picture, is what you're saying.
Right.
Well,
right.
and I think it's a perspective thing too. You know, not so just, half the people are going to be like, "Oh man, I see what it's like. I'm going to set that money aside. I'm going to stay here."
Yeah.
And like Mitch said, other people are going to take it and blow it and then just be right back down where they were.
Right,
And that's the mindset that we talk about all the time of, "Hey, I've got to be able to step outside of myself and realize, man, I'm screwing up.
right.
And if I want to be here
Yeah.
up high and not down low, I've got to change the way I'm thinking."
Yeah.
And that's the whole point of this show, Keeping Up with the Joneses, is you have got to change the way you think about things
Right.
in order to be successful, which we say all the time.
If
you
somebody-
have to be able to do that.
Yeah. If somebody handed you $1,200 today,
Yeah.
are you blowing that on a $1,200 fun thing that you're going to forget about in a month? Or
And that's
are you going to take that $1,200 and go invest it in yourself somehow? Like here in a couple months, I'm
Well,
going to be.
you know what, wait,
Give
I
me a
love
new lens.
I love this example because this is every person of every class is going to do it different. Marcus, I give you $1,200. What are you doing? Cash right now. I just give it to you and I say, man,
Probably
I'll
gonna purchase a new something for my lenses, like a lens or
get a new
some type of-
lens.
yeah, probably
new
some type
lens.
of-
Now listen, for him that is
It's half fun, half investment.
It's half fun and half investment because
more
he's a
so
videographer.
investment. Yeah, yeah,
Right.
exactly.
You know what I mean? It's both for Marcus.
Yeah,
Right.
in
Okay.
a sense, yeah.
It
you're
is. It is. Mitch, what are you gonna do if I give you $1,200 right now? I just give you $1,200 cash.
I'm investing it in myself.
How?
What do you mean?
What? Yeah,
You gotta have a
elaborate.
specific example.
Well, so like,
Why do you do that?
Because he's a jack off.
yeah.
I'm gonna invest in myself. I'm gonna give you $1,200.
I
What
could
are
have
you
said
gonna
that
do?
same shit.
Well,
What are you gonna do with it? $1,200.
So I just plunked down quite a bit of money to go attend a seminar, to better myself.
Okay.
Right.
That's,
Now there's some travel involved, but I'm not going to go like travel like I'm a baller and all this stuff. But
yeah, but hypothetically speaking, you would go.
hypothetically, I'm going to fly out of state.
Put
and
it
go
towards
attend,
that.
I'm going to go attend a seminar that's.
Yeah.
I mean, it's geeky shit, but I'm going to sit down and
Yeah.
let people talk to me about how to become a better person,
What
a
about you,
better
Dave?
version of me.
Now I'm gonna say something real quick. So for Mitch, that's the correct answer. I'm gonna do this, but for him, that's the same thing as Marcus's.
He's enjoying.
He's enjoying that too.
Yeah.
So let's not pretend. like because
Right.
he enjoys that stuff too.
Well,
And
it's a
but
mindset shift.
no.
That's true. But
no.
whatever you're passionate about, though.
Yeah.
Like
Whatever you're passionate about.
whatever you're passionate about.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And so it's a lot of the same thing, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's
Right.
no wrong answer.
Right.
There's no wrong answer.
What would you do?
Well,
Dave?
If you
no,
gave me,
there-
if
there
Marcus,
is-
if you gave me $1,200, I'm putting it towards a new trap shotgun.
No shit.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
for me. I've been thinking about buying one for a long time. I got my eye on 2 of them,
So what would that be?
and
That's passion for sure.
I'm either getting.
Because I want to get out there with you one of
I'm
these
either
days.
gonna get a Beretta A400 with kickoff. So they quit making them, but they had these ones that the receiver was actually blue, like blue. They're awesome. And Benelli actually makes a really nice one too. Now the $1,200 isn't going to pay for all of it, but it'd pay for a lot of it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I would buy.
Yeah.
Why? Because you like that.
First off, I haven't bought anything for myself in a really long
Okay.
time.
Right.
Okay.
That was me when I bought my F-150.
So
was
I had
thinking
gone
about that, too.
years without buying something for myself. It was finally time
Your
I
accountant
upgraded
said
to a
buy something for
well, right, and so I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do it.
yeah, but my point is, everyone's going to do something different with it.
Yeah.
There's
no
not-
wrong answer unless
Yes, there is. Let me finish my point.
Right.
Yeah, I want to hear it.
I have money to pay my bills.
Yeah.
So if Marcus gives me $1,200, that's extra money for me.
Right.
You know what I mean? But if I were to say Marcus is a single man right now, say
Yeah.
you were making $30,000 a year and you're living on your own, and
Right.
I came to you and said, "Hey, here's $1,200." If he didn't spend that on cameras and doing stuff for his business to grow, that's the wrong decision. If
Right.
you owed money on a credit card, that's the wrong decision.
Right.
You know what I mean? If Mitch, if Mitch owed $1,200 to the supply house and thought I'm going to go on this trip instead of paying that bill, that's the
Wrong bill.
wrong decision.
Priorities out of whack is what you're saying.
Priorities are out of whack.
Right.
That's the whole point of this episode is you have got to be able to step outside of yourself, make a list of what your priorities are and say, hey, these are important. These are what I need to do. And, people get this false sense of security that when I buy something and do something for myself, it's going to make me feel good and I'm going to be, doing great and I'm going to be doing this. No.
It's
You know what?
momentary.
When you
Yeah.
pay your bills and everything's caught up,
Right.
the satisfaction you feel there
Yeah.
is longer lasting
Yeah.
than the I saw a post on stupid Facebook the other day that said, "Man, I wish I just had some extra money to go buy get new tattoos." And I was like, "Really?"
Yeah.
I was like, and I know the person, and I'm
Yeah.
thinking the whole time I'm thinking, dude,
Yep.
you got 2 kids, I know where you live,
Yeah.
you don't really
Tattoos are the least of your problems.
Yeah, you got a list of 27 things, and that ain't on them.
I can tell you this.
I got 99 problems, and a bitch ain't one. What are you doing?
I can tell you this. I've bought some amazing cars over my life, but nothing gave me the feeling like the day I was debt free, aside from my mortgage.
Wow.
Like, there is no greater feeling out there than to know that you are not chained down by debt at all. Like, that was that when I had that Mustang GT and all that, crazy fast cars and everything else, I'm like, yeah, they feel cool. It didn't feel half as
See,
cool
that
as
debt
paying
shit
off
scares
that
me.
last piece of debt.
Debt is scary.
Dude,
People are so accustomed to being in debt because the government and TV and everything, they're just beating you down all the time that people just become okay with it.
Yeah.
And then 2 months after not being in debt, you're like, the blinders are off.
Holy
shit.
shit.
Look
The
where I'm
view
at
you
right now.
have is totally different. The power you have.
Marcus
is
isn't
totally
in
different.
debt.
yeah.
Right.
Marcus owes no one nothing.
I
Right.
owe zero.
Right.
You're just like my brother. So my brother, he rents my guest house.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? He owes no one anything. He dude, he's not a baller. He
Right.
doesn't make a ton of money. He's the happiest guy I've ever known in my life.
Yeah.
I'm serious, dude. Nothing bothers him.
Yeah.
He's completely laid back.
You see
He's
how
complete-
laid back Dave says I have a guest house? My brother rents my guest house.
My brother.
I probably shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
Um.
Well,
Hey, sorry, brother.
Full disclosure, it's a house, right?
Yeah.
Dave bought land,
Yeah.
built a shop with living quarters in it, lived in that, and then built his house.
And it's really nice. Don't get me wrong. It's really nice.
Yeah.
In there, but I just, there's this false mentality of I have to have this $1 million home to be happy. I have to have this to be happy. My brother Joe is the happiest son of a bitch I ever. I mean, he is just so laid back all the time. No stress.
Yeah.
No nothing. He's
Yeah.
just like everything's paid for.
Yep.
I mean, all he has to do is pay rent, and his internet, and that's it. I
Yep.
mean,
Right. Well, Marcus
How
and I have talked too. Like
freaking
Marcus
easy.
was wanting to get a house, and I'm like, don't equate owning a house to happiness
Yeah.
because it's the farthest thing from it. Like,
yeah,
He was telling me that.
Yeah.
we've talked about stuff like
so-
that. a
Honestly,
lot.
man, that debt shit really scares me, man.
It should.
Yeah.
Back in the day, it scared people because the interest rate to buy a home was 13, 18%.
Yeah.
Now it's 4%, so people don't feel so bad.
Yeah.
The debt's the same.
Well,
The money's cheaper, but
the other thing too is
it's just-
nowadays everyone's doing it.
Well, that's what I meant by the government and TV and everything. They've just, they've beat you down for so long.
I'm
of
real
being,
hesitant when everyone's doing
Be
shit, too.
okay. Be okay with being in debt. It's fine. It's the American way. It's the American
Right.
dream.
Right.
Well, you know what? Sometimes a dream's a bitch.
Yeah.
Isn't America in debt?
Don't even get me started.
That's next episode.
Next episode, America's fucked up.
Lead by example,
that's
right?
just the next episode. Yeah.
Right. Our fucked up America.
Dude, we are like on an hour 20. You want to keep going?
Yeah. We can wrap it up.
I got nowhere to go. I got nothing to do.
We can wrap it up. So, guys, if today's show brought you
Sparked interest.
sparked an interest, or made you think, or made you learn about something in a different light, feel free to do us a favor and like the show.
Share it with
give
somebody.
us a 5-star
Share it right now.
whatever platform you're
5-star.
listening on. Give
Yeah.
us a
Google
5-star
5-star.
review if you're. Well, we're not on Google.
We're not.
But
should be.
Spotify
Is
or
Google
Apple
a thing?
Podcasts, if you're listening on those
That's some
platforms,
bourbons
give us a 5-star review there. If you're on YouTube, give us a thumbs up.
Share.
Obviously, you can share the show with anybody who you think may feel
Tell them to
value
share right
from the
now,
show.
Mitch.
Yeah, hit the share button on the show or on the platform that you're listening
Text
on.
it
Text it to a
yeah.
friend of yours and say, these guys are pretty badass. And
Don't
Bless
lie.
someone.
Don't
Bless
lie to
someone.
him.
well,
Don't
okay,
lie to him.
Mitch is pretty badass. Dave, somewhat.
Mitch got out over his skis for a second.
Yeah. Say Dave's a little ugly, but Mitch is pretty handsome. So
I don't mind.
share it for me. If you're gonna share it out of pity for Dave.
He didn't even have any bourbon, did he?
Right.
No, he's stone cold sober. Doesn't know what he's talking about.
But
Oh man,
that wraps up today's show on keeping up with the Joneses. So don't do it.
Don't do it.
Take control of your own finances, and we will see you next week.
love you guys.
Talk to you later.
Peace.